Economics is built on a single immovable axiom: scarcity. Human demands are limitless, but the physical resources required to meet them are finite. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Because resources are strictly limited, every good or service carries an inherent cost of allocation. Choosing to produce one item mathematically eliminates the possibility of producing another. To bridge this gap, a society constructs an economic system, a social architecture designed to act as a router for these resources. This router must answer three specific questions. The first is exactly what to make with the available materials. The second is how to manufacture those items with maximum efficiency. The third is who gets to consume the final output. Human history is a record of testing three different architectures to operate this router: tradition, command, and market. To understand why a nation experiences wealth or poverty, one must map which of these three core algorithms it relies on to distribute the resources required for its survival. The oldest architecture is the traditional economy, where habit, ritual, and custom dictate the routing of all resources. For generations, 19th century Inuit hunters divided their catch evenly into portions based strictly on ancestral rules, rather than individual physical claims. This algorithm provides social stability, ensuring a village survives harsh conditions. However, it creates a pattern of stagnation. By strictly defining roles based on past generations, the system penalizes innovation and deviation, resulting in a low standard of living compared to other systems. The second architecture is the command system. Here, a single central authority owns the resources and dictates all production vectors from the top down. The primary advantage of a command system is its ability to execute massive, rapid shifts in resource allocation. By emphasizing heavy industry, central planners moved the Soviet Union from a rural agrarian society to an industrial nation in a few decades. But command architectures carry a severe flaw. As an economy scales, it struggles under the weight of its own complexity. A central bureaucracy cannot coordinate the millions of daily distribution decisions required for a modern society to function. To compensate, planners issue crude production quotas to factories, forcing metrics to override logic. In the Soviet Union, output for electrical motors and chandeliers was measured exclusively by weight. Workers optimized for this metric, producing fixtures so heavy they ripped out of ceilings and crashed to the floor. Top-down command systems eventually fail because they lack accurate feedback loops. They optimize for bureaucratic targets rather than the actual utility of the end user. The market architecture operates in reverse. Defined by private ownership, it relies on decentralized decision-making. Its core feedback mechanism is dollar votes. Every consumer purchase acts as a signal to producers about what to make next. This continuous optimization generates efficiency, product variety, and a high degree of individual freedom. However, because the market optimizes for profit, it fails to provide universal public goods, like roads or comprehensive healthcare, and it does not provide for those who cannot care for themselves. Pure systems exist only in theory. The reality of modern economics is the mixed economy, where tradition, government intervention, and market forces all play a role. Prosperous nations exist along a spectrum. Countries like the United States, Sweden, and China utilize markets for wealth generation, while incorporating social features to meet specific social goals. The mixed economy dominates the globe because it functions as a practical solution. It retains the production capacity of markets while using state intervention to manage the social instability of total scarcity. The defining macroeconomic trend of the modern era is the migration of former command systems toward market structures. Transitioning is not a simple policy update. It requires replacing a country's entire economic foundation while the society is still living on it. The critical first step is privatization. The state must transfer its industrial assets into private hands to create risk and establish incentives for growth. This presents a logistical problem. How does a government sell billion-dollar factories to citizens who possess almost no investment capital? This document is a 1992 Russian privatization voucher. It is the physical mechanism used by Russia, Poland, and Hungary to solve that exact problem. The state issued these certificates to citizens at rock-bottom prices.
Citizens then exchanged them for shares of newly privatized corporate stock. Privatization marks a permanent shift in economic structure. It moves the authority to allocate resources away from a central bureaucracy and into a decentralized network of individual owners. But removing guaranteed state quotas and implementing free market price signals triggers massive short-term instability. Transitioning economies experience the harsh realities of early capitalism, specifically mass unemployment and social unrest, before they build the social safety nets that cushion more developed market systems. This chaos exposes a critical vulnerability in the transition: the loss of political power. In Russia, former communist bureaucrats hijacked the voucher system. They used their influence to acquire shares, trading political roles for permanent economic control.
Despite the corruption and economic pain, nations continue the transition because centralized command systems have proved unable to coordinate the complex decisions required for modern growth. Engineering a society's response to scarcity is difficult and often brutal. However, the mixed model has become the primary mechanism for modern nations, balancing the high output of capitalism with the structural stability of the state.